It's a beautiful day to be alive. Hello and welcome. My name is Faithy Mai, and this is The Breakfast Show on TSL Nigeria TV. The United Nations General Assembly has designated the 25th of November to create awareness for the elimination of violence against women. Daily, women are faced with rape, street harassment, trafficking, forced genital mutilation, domestic violence, amongst others. That's why this morning on the Breakfast Show, we are joining forces to also create awareness so that women can be liberated. During this, we have a very special guest in our midst this morning in person of Honorable Mrs. Maria Omozele Edeko, the immediate past Commissioner for Social Development and Gender Issues in Edo State. Good day, Ma. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much. First, let's begin by appreciating you. Thank you so much for joining us on set. It means a lot to us on such a day like this, being 25th of November, whereby your cause is actually being celebrated. First thing we want to ask is, when we have a special guest like you on set, we want to know what made you toward this line of action. Honestly speaking, were you ever at any point violated to say, okay, I want to lend my voice for others?
Thank you very much. I was never at any point in time violated that I remember. Yeah, because it's in the last few years we started to draw, the consciousness of the community to what constitutes gender-based violence. So you may have even been violated without knowing it. Yes. So my call to duty came from my course of study. I'm a lawyer by profession, a law teacher. I have taught law for several years, and I'm the past chairperson, International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, Edo State. I'm the current National Financial Secretary to FIDA Nigeria. And I'm a human rights teacher with interest in issue of women and children. Okay. Yes, and I trained in one of the foremost institutions in Europe, the Human Rights Center in Strasbourg. So, talking about gender-based violence is something I have passion for. And the mandate of FIDA is to protect and promote the rights of women and children. And incidentally, my work at FIDA drew the state's attention to me. And by the special grace of God, when I went into politics, I was appointed by His Excellency, Mr. Godwin Oregase Obaseki, as the Commissioner for Social Development and Gender Issues. So I breathe issues that have to do with protection of women and children. I dream it, I live it.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. So this morning, we can see that you're putting on orange.
Yes.
Very significant for today. So kindly enlighten us and our viewers as well. The theme for this year's awareness campaign for elimination against violence for women, and what it's all about, and how people can also really get to know what is happening.
Like you mentioned, the 25th of every November is set aside by the United Nations to draw global attention to the issue of gender-based violence. So it runs 16 days activism from the 25th of November to about the 10th of December, which is the International Human Rights Day. So all the girls, female, and the he for she, they should actually have a spot of orange throughout these 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The theme for this year's celebration is Orange the World. Fund, respond, prevent, collect. So these are very significant words. So the theme has been carefully chosen. If you look at it, it's said orange the word. Orange, the beautiful color. Remove the pains from the women, from the children. And this is the orange color. Now we talk about funding. A lot of fund is needed to prosecute persons that violate other human beings. So local government, at the local government level, at the state level, at the federal level, at the regional level and international level, they are calling on all persons, all men and women of goodwill, to fund activities that have to do with elimination of violence against women and children. And I hope this, if we understand this, the churches, all persons of goodwill should donate to this cause to make sure that we bring this scourge to the barest minimum. And it's in response. How do we respond? We have the justice sector. For example, when a child is defied, when a woman is raped, when you suffer any form of gender-based violence, be it domestic violence, you know, there's something beautiful I was just talking about quickly. The law, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act is a law that was passed in 2015 by Goodluck Jonathan. That beautiful document, it expanded the scope of violence, not to just physical violence, not to issue of rape and defilement. It talks about emotional violence. Wow. It talks about economic violence. There are lots of issues when you talk about emotional violence. For example, if you put your spouse down, you're dressed to go out for a party, and because you look beautiful, you see the spouse say, oh, look at you, your leg look like licky leg. And you become, you know, you are scared, you are afraid, you're not proud of yourself anymore. You lose self-confidence. That is violence.
Emotionally.
Yeah. Emotionally. Economic, when you refuse to provide for your family. So there are a lot of issues, like when you tell a child you can never do well. You know, those days, those things were just things we say without understanding the trauma you are causing that child.
Sorry to quickly interrupt you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I remember a teenager who actually spoke on it. We discussed this on set a time ago, that a teenager who his father always told that you will never do it, and instead of writing on a piece of paper daily, I'm a failure, I won't amount to anything, it started affecting him.
So these are issues today. What we are actually doing, in Edo State, you know that law was domesticated. I was actually the chairperson of FIDA for 3 years.
Wow.
With the support of Her Excellency, Mrs. Bessie Obaseki, and some other NGO, we fought in Edo State to get that law domesticated in Edo State. So we are glad that we have that law, and it says prevent. How do you prevent it? When there is gender-based violence, you must report it. And when it's reported, today in Edo State, during my tenure as the Commissioner for Social Development, His Excellency inaugurated the Sexual Assault Referral Center, a one-stop shop. When there is issue of gender-based violence, what do? You don't need to bait the victim, because when you do that, you are tactically washing the evidence away. Take the child to the center. You know, the golf course area is around the golf course area. You will see it, Vivian Ogun Center. Now, when you get there, you find the police, because the police has responsibility to investigate. And we have the lawyers that will prosecute. And you have the bulk of the staff of the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Issue, who are the sociologists and the psychologists. What do? They take care of the trauma, counseling. Because in this part of the world, we always say, oh, how many convictions have you secured? It's good to punish the offender, but it's good to give both medical treatment and psychological treatment to the victim of any form of crime at all. So the gender-based violence, today this is, you know, as a lawyer coming into that ministry, I became excited, you know, having insight into the psychological need of persons that are violated. So as a media house, you have great responsibility to speak to the community. They don't need to, the culture of silence. You that have been violated, raped, defied, you are not the bad person. It's the villain that has no moral value, that decided to rape a person, because a man or a woman can be raped. Those are the new innovation in the violence against persons prohibition law. So it's not just
sometimes
women.
Sometimes for the victim, it's just the stigma that they get to deal with, and how people tend to refer to them on the road or in their community and say, oh, she was raped, he was raped, and things like that. That's what makes them keep silent. So I think that more awareness should be done. That's why such a day like this, however, it's been recognized by United Nations General Assembly.
Yeah, we're talking about gender equality. You know, in this part of the world, our belief and our culture really affect us, and the woman is seen as a subordinate to the men. Do you think that it will come to a time where there will be gender equality, where the man and the woman would look as same?
Thank you. Yes, of course, you've hit the nail on the head. They are all issues of cultural, you know. Why? How did we get there? You know, as it then was, men make the laws. And when you make law, in most cases, you try to protect yourself. So most of the cultural norms were made by men, and they made them to protect their interests.
Their egos.
But we are moving very slowly, because for several years now we've been talking about the 35% affirmative action, which is what every Nigerian should call for. You can see the governance of this country now. We are in deep trouble. The NSA protest, we tell you that because of poor leadership, that is why we are where we are. You can't neglect, you cannot remove 50% of your population from the decision-making processes, and you think you will come up with something good. It can't happen. So they need women, they need the other gender to balance this issue. Look at Edo State House of Assembly. There is no single woman in Edo State House of Assembly. I was one of the aspirants during the last election. I was one of the best candidates, the most outstanding candidate. But of course, I was not given tickets. So these are serious issues for our country. If we do not want to destroy ourselves, women must be brought into the mainstream. So in a very short while, maybe about February or so, we're going to be having another constitutional review. It does not have to start then. Every woman, every he for she, it's the time for us to start, NGOs, to start advocating once more for the inclusion of 35% affirmative action in the Constitution. Because as it is today, it's a policy. Policy is a guideline, it's not an enforceable right. You cannot go to court to say, oh, you were appointing persons to position, you didn't give 35% of it to women. Nobody will enforce it because it's a policy. But if it becomes law, whether women go for the midnight meetings, women are there at all, their 35% will be reserved. And what that means that at the national level, mandatorily, the minimum we can then have is 35% of women in participation at that level. At the Edo State House of Assembly, we will have similar number. At the local government level, in appointive position. This is the best way to solve this issue. Countries like Rwanda, they've done it. But of course, the political class, they've been shying away from this. And if they don't do it, this country, we can have development.
I'm sure definitely we will look at it.
Way of solving this gender issue now. Do you think there's any way to solve this violence against women and children, or a way to curb it?
Of course there is a way. With all due respect, I'm one person that have not been happy with the investigative part. Because people that commit crime, sinful persons must be punished. But when you have a reported case, you call the police to investigate. Instead of punishing the, the perpetrator, the victim become the person that is further violated. I have problem with that.
Even emotionally. In Lagos, sorry ma'am, in Lagos, that was around June, I read of a story of a young girl. She was selling for her boss at the shop, roadside shop. I think a man came to do a delivery there, and the man violated her. He raped her in the store, there and there in the store in the afternoon. And when our boss came around, she explained everything. She took, the woman took the girl to the police station to actually report the case. And the female police women there attended to the lady, the young girl of about 16, and said, are you not sure you're the one that opened your body for him? Do you not enjoy it? I mean, such things alone, you know, has sent a wrong message to this girl and further hurt her emotionally.
Exactly, exactly.
So that is why where the counselor comes in. The psycho.
So ma, do we have enough counselors? Do we have enough social support? Yes. Because most of the time we always talk about these things and talk about sensitization. Do we have any active helplines? Let's come to Edo State, for instance.
Of course.
Do we have any active helplines? Do we have enough counselors on ground?
Very well. Okay. Because that is the ministry where I function as commissioner. So we have over 60-something staff of that ministry.
Okay.
And shortly before, they were trained by the European Union recently, about 24 social workers and 24 medical doctors and nurses for the Sexual Assault Referral Center. And by the 5th of last month, I also trained the staff again on trauma management, providing psychosocial support for victims of gender-based violence.
Okay, so due to the outbreak of
we have
COVID,
helplines. If you, the Vivian Center, we have helplines. The ministry, we have helplines.
And they're all functional?
They're functional.
Okay, so due to the outbreak of COVID-19, of course, emerging reports show that there has been an increase in domestic violence against women and girls. So I would like to understand why. Is it because of the lockdown or, you know, what exactly caused this increase? What made it shoot up?
From the reports, because even while there was lockdown during the COVID-19, the Ministry of Social Development, Gender Issue, the staff were on duty.
Okay.
And because we're having several reports, there was a very bad case, a little child with, you know, this face me, I face you kind of house. The neighbor, you know, since everybody's at home now, they stay in the backyard to take fresh air in the evening, no light. And you see the man, a married man, the wife is in the house there, you know, watches. When he sees the girl going to ease herself, we go behind and accost her.
Wow.
You know, pin her to the water, the tank there, and severally defy this young child.
Wow.
And put her in family way.
Wow.
That case was reported to me under, they are prosecuting that case. We've been able to get evidence from the girl child, because we had to take the girl child from the mother temporarily to make sure they don't distort the evidence. That is what parents do.
Yes.
Some, they collect money from the accused person,
take the case out of
and they
court.
will tell you that
It's a family issue.
It's a family issue. And we've told them severally, it's a criminal offense, an offense against the state.
Punishable by law.
It is not for them to settle in family
meetings or gatherings.
So I saw that coming. I had to instruct immediately for that child to be taken out of the parents' custody until we were able to get valuable evidence from the child that can allow us to secure a conviction before we reunited the young child with the parents. So the COVID-19, because people are under lockdown, people were not moving out, they are not working. So of course, the idle mind, the devil's workshop.
Wow.
So we had lots of reports, and several organizations, Edo State government, international donor, they were all on this issue. And for me, it's a continuous fight. So when a person is violated, We must report appropriately.
Thank you.
We must ensure proper investigation, proper prosecution, and that psychosocial support is given
Very
to
important.
the child and even the parents. And even the violator needs to get some counseling.
Thank you so very much,
You're
Ma. We
welcome.
sincerely appreciate it. We wish we could discuss more about this, but time is fast spent. Honorable Mrs. Maria Edeko, thank you so much for being here. We're grateful to God. We're happy to know that things are actually being put in place also in those states to see that these abominable acts are curbed and also brought low to the barest minimum. Thank you so much, Ma, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting on the color. Thank you for doing everything you do. Thank
You guys, everyone, the men,
we're going to put it on our orange from now till December 10th. I must snap with my own orange and also create awareness. This is all we can take on the Breakfast Show this morning. Thank you, our viewers. Please do also follow us on all our socials at TSL Nigeria TV, and also follow us on. Click on the link just below to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's TSL Nigeria TV. We wish all the females out there the best. We know, and we also clamoring here for you, that the elimination of violence against women and children must come to an end. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you sometime again. Have a great day.
Stay connected to TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.